Okay, welcome to the Mendon Select Board. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:34. And we can stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, adding, deleting items to the agenda. If you look down at letter E under business, the diesel tank cover project, we are deleting that. There's no need for any additional money.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. In its place, we'll add the Route 4 scoping study. And for letter F, the Recreation Committee is requesting ARPA funds for the playground project. I just wrote Recreation Committee request of ARPA funds. So with those changes, I'll make a motion to approve the one deletion and the adding of E and F.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, under administrative matters, the signing of orders. We have 2 payroll checks. Hi, Liam.
Yeah.
We have Liam with us. One in the amount of $11,563.63. That was for 8/6/24. For 8/20/24, the amount of $11,462.94. And pay orders for 8/8, $36,598.60. And for 8/20, $11,550.03.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The minutes from July 22nd, I'll make a motion to approve those as amended, to note that the fiscal year 2025 tax rate will be updated this evening.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And letter C, the fiscal year 2025 grants and aid paperwork. We're just signing a $7,000 agreement with them. What's on there?
It's in here.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So let me just clarify that motion. That was Val moving, and who was the second on that?
Seth.
So, we have
And the gentleman? Brian Gates present,
and Ryder.
and Ryder is present. So for that one,
That's the scoping study. I already signed that.
okay, that's all set, right? I already got the other signed, this is the grant. Okay,
You do that every year.
yeah. And you're the only signature on the one too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Announcements, number 5. I personally do not have any announcements.
Nope.
Nothing here.
And moving on to public comment, 2 minutes per person. Do we have anybody? Carol? Brian?
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow up on what's going on with my neighbor's driveway. Seth, he was supposed to get a hold of me like a month and a half ago.
Chris met with you, correct? Kristen?
No, I asked you if you were gonna, there was a violation, you said it was coming, but it still ain't coming.
Well, I don't.
I have there's two violations on my street
I
that.
can't guarantee you a violation. I
Huh?
can't guarantee you something like
You
that.
told me.
But we're working on what should be done properly.
I could ask Chris.
Chris
Yeah.
would know more.
Did we violate the Pascarellos or Mr. Sage?
The letter is drafted, it needs sent a letter. Yes.
This was like a month and a half ago.
Well, I met with them, and then you saw me that day, I was meeting with him before. And I let him know what he needed to do. Then I went back once again to meet with him to make sure, and let him know that what I needed was proof that he was working with somebody.
There's any more traffic on the driveway.
And he has 30 days from that conversation. Then
He's doing
I
it.
haven't written one of these letters before.
Okay.
I worked with Sarah, we drafted it, finalized it, I just haven't sent it yet. I need to, yes, but it is written, it is there, and it's the same thing like you heard me talking to him.
Supposed to have a letter of intent to violate, gives them 7 days to respond. That's what they're supposed to get. That's what they're supposed to get, a zoning violation. They're
No,
supposed to
it's
get a
not a
letter.
zoning violation. It is he's required to get a permit for construction within the town's right of way. These are highway specification ordinance. This is not zoning. Zoning goes through Steve Elrin. It does not go through the select board at all.
How are we gonna address the 12% slope over there?
Well, that's to be
Because that's a
determined, you know.
standard
That's to
that
be
we talk
determined.
about.
Yeah, no, you're
And
right.
the planning
It's gonna
commission
be,
all the time.
it's gonna be a tough one.
Huh?
It's going to be a tough one.
So it's been 3.5 years I've been talking about it, but still, we're not doing it.
Well, so the
So
day,
when my floodlight's up, I have 7 days to move it. I also had 7 days to move a building.
That zoning violations are different than the highway specification ordinance.
But my neighbor has one within 50 feet,
but Brian, as Sarah just
and
said,
nobody wants to violate.
zoning violations are different.
Steve doesn't want to do it.
But it's a different,
So I heard, hold
it's a
on,
different
I heard
situation.
that
Brian,
he
you
can act.
gotta hear them
Yeah.
back and forth. If you ask them a question, you gotta give them time to respond.
Okay.
So hear me out here. We want to do this proper, so we get the proper results, correct? Okay? 12%, it's gonna be hard, all this stuff, right, Chris? It's gonna take a little bit to
It ain't
make it
gonna
right
happen.
there. Let me ask you this.
Sarah, stop shaking your head.
If we are able to help you, if it gets a mess at the bottom,
It's a mess in my yard.
Chris, would we be able to address that? I mean,
It's been a
Obviously,
mess
if you have
over a half
problems
a dozen
everywhere-
times.
hold on, Brian, let me speak. If you have problems everywhere else in flooding situations, I mean, obviously, you're not gonna be able to get right there, but instead of Brian cleaning it up himself,
He's cleaned it up half a dozen
I
times.
know, so.
I've
we'll
cleaned it
get-
up a few times.
Right,
A few times we've met when we were both clean.
Okay.
I just.
and the more that happens, the more he's gonna see what's going on there too, hands-on. And let's just address it right and get it done right.
I don't understand why we can't give him a letter, send him a letter with a timeline. Because it's been, like I said, 3.5 years.
Right.
And now I'm under the impression that Steve doesn't have to violate it. If there's a real violation, the sheriff can violate that. That's what he was telling me, right?
Certain ordinances, yes, certain
Yeah.
ordinances go right.
So listen, you can't get the time back, okay? It's been 3.5 years, fine. We're doing what we can, let's address it right and get it done properly.
Well, then I just don't feel as though nobody's getting treated the same. If I have a violation, I'm required. You send me a letter, not only did you send me a letter, but you sent the sheriff with his guns drawn on a Saturday morning. Phil Douglas and another sheriff, to my
It's
house.
on the driveway.
Well, there's another one right down the
Plus,
street.
it's zoning, it's a different situation, Brian.
But
It is.
Steve
It's
does
not
not
even
want to violate it. I've
Well,
asked
We
him.
have letter drafted. Is there anything specific from the letter that, would,
So the letter clearly states that they'll put a 5% grade slope from left to right. They'll put a trenching on the right-hand side of the driveway. They're not to ditch from the driveway to the catch basin. I will do that.
I already did it.
Oh, you put a ditch in?
Just at the bottom of the driveway.
Yep, but to make the connection, whatever it is, we're gonna clean it, and then we'll end up with.
Well, that would be his property that you'd be going up on, helping him.
No, right at the corner.
Yeah, I already did that. I did that for it, actually.
Is it,
I tried to clean up, I couldn't get the cover off for the culvert,
Oh, thank you.
but I cleaned it all up around there if you go up
Well, that
there.
goes to the conversation we had, like, if it ends up being too small.
Yeah.
Then we'll look at it.
Still, it's, you know, winter's coming and.
make sure you let him know if you do stuff like that though too, Brian. I'm not saying it's a bad thing you did it, but honestly, like, you just gotta let him know it's,
You should see all the stuff in my yard. There's
yeah.
boulders, there's gravel, because he ditched it to my yard.
Brian, I've been looking at that driveway for 10 years.
Well, then why aren't we doing anything about
We are. Okay, we're
it?
just
Not like you do to me,
getting the ball rolling.
not like you do to me.
okay,
I'm just saying, Val, you were the one who actually made a motion that the sheriff could go to address these. Like, you voted on that. The day before they came to my house with guns drawn, you were the one who signed it and said, oh no, we could have the sheriff go deliver those. But it's only happened to me.
Okay.
But when there's other violations, it's you treat everybody totally different.
Brian, we're moving on, okay?
You always say that too. We never
We have to do it.
address the situation
We are.
at all.
We are.
You told
Okay,
me you were
cut
gonna get
that.
hold of
Right.
it from
Excuse me, has this public comment gone longer than 2 minutes?
I think it's been talked enough.
This is a
so.
concern and not really a public
But it
comment.
doesn't
It's something
come
that
under-
the town has not addressed for many years.
Okay.
You will make me and my property move a shipping container to the other side of the lot, but you won't make him move his. You will not violate them. You will only violate us in our property. I want the same letter that was sent for the violation of the floodlight. I would like the same kind of letter sent to my neighbors, that they have
That
7
will-
days to fix it.
Well, that's zoning. That's zoning.
That's zoning.
So that
So
will
is
have
it
to go through
highway
the
or
zoning. board.
zoning, or does nobody want
Yeah,
to take
I'll show you
responsibility
this.
for this?
Yeah, you wanna talk about that? How about how you're gonna treat everybody?
Okay, we're moving on. Everybody, stop.
We have to
We're
conduct the
moving on.
meeting proper.
Moving on,
Okay, that's it.
moving on.
2 minutes, yeah. I mean, we're good.
Just stop.
Can I take that?
Would you like to
Moving on
shut
to
up,
business. Will you please stop?
Let's go. Come on, let's move. Let's move forward,
Oh
everybody.
my God.
Move forward.
Letter A,
Next.
under business, amending the 2024-25 tax rate.
It wasn't on the wall, I just said it on the. Still, reword.
Is this a motion that the changing of the tax rate?
Why don't you read that? You can,
Yes, this will be a motion. Let me go over the numbers and then, Val, if you would like to say so moved, but I'll recap what the numbers are. The purpose of doing the amendment is, there was an update in the 24-25 municipal grand list, which then, through the calculation would have, lowered the municipal tax rate, hence lowering also the homestead and the non-residential rate. So an overview, the homestead rate would be 1.9060. The non-residential rate would be 1.9826. And the municipal tax rate is 0.4321.
Okay, I'll just read through it. I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the homestead rate to 1.9060, the non-residential rate to 1.9826, and the municipal tax rate to 0.4321.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Letter B, the health officer appointment.
So I met with Trish about this, and she has read the manual from cover to cover, and she's still interested in holding the position. So I am going to move that we appoint Trish Malloy to the health officer for the town of Mendon.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, in order to make that recommendation to the health department, we do have one form that needs to be signed by the chair of the select board. So I will complete that and have Val sign that. And the, Trish will have to come in and do an oath of office. So I'll make sure that Jessie, has her contact information and she can come in and take the oath of office and we can get that sent into the health department.
Great.
And again, I'm happy to go over any of the information and questions that she has, but she's done a great start.
Yeah, I think you're going to find her very helpful.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And these changes happen immediately once she takes her oath?
Yes, it will. We do click off that it's a new appointment. So as soon as the health department does have to rubber stamp it. So it will go into effect as soon as the health department approves it. She will receive a notification via letter as well from the health department.
Very good.
All right, letter C, the 1% local option tax. Megan, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll just give you an overview, and it's something, it would have to be voted on at town meeting. But this year's property tax bill added 3% onto the already 9% rooms and meals tax for Airbnb and VRBO and any other of those kind of rentals. So that is all going to the education fund to offset property taxes. The 1% would go on all rooms and meals, which is really Vermont Inn, Red Clover Inn, and then all the Airbnbs and VRBOs in town. So the rate would be up for the restaurants, the inns would be 10%, would go from 9% to 10% rooms and meals tax. The VRBOs and Airbnbs would go from 13% to 14%. So it isn't going to be that much in Mendon. Probably at the beginning, $6,000 to $8,000 a year. And my thought is it's only going to grow because more and more, unfortunately, homes are going on to Airbnb and VRBO. But it would just be, my thought would be that we would just put it in a special fund to match grants for, we've had a lot of unexpected grants come up. We've had a lot of damage. So my thought would be it would just be a special account. It would just stay there and get added to in case we needed it to match a grant that we got from the state or the federal government. So in order to do it, there's some hoops, there's some things to get it on the ballot. But, it's pretty straightforward. So many towns are doing it now that it's a pretty straightforward procedure. And again, it's not very much money, but it's all reported. It's all done by the state. They just add it on, and the businesses report it and collect it, and it goes straight to the state, to our, straight to us.
Okay. Thank you for doing that research.
Yeah. So, and I don't think we're going to make a decision on it tonight. I just wanted to bring it up. Sarah, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is definitely something that we can continue to discuss as part of the budget process that we're going to start in October. And then the select board can decide whether they'll put it to town vote in March, and that'll become a question on the warning.
Okay.
So good timing, and we'll put it on our list of things to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Moving on to letter D, Journey's End. Bid opening. Do you need a motion?
I do not need a
Close.
motion because, we went out to public bid on, the Journey's End project. It was posted on the Vermont Bid Board. Chris conducted a site evaluation, with contractors, and we did not receive any bids in the time frame of the, bidding document. So we don't have any bids to open this evening. We will need to rebid the project. And so Chris and I will be moving forward with rebidding that amount.
Moving on to letter E, the Route 4 scoping study is finished. And we are signing off on that in agreement.
So while Val is doing that, the Route 4 scoping study is complete. Jesse is posting it on our website with the appendices. VHB has concluded and VTrans has accepted their report. So the memo that Val is signing this evening will provide for the paperwork to close out the grant, the Transportation Alternative Program grant. But anyone interested in the study can find the information on our website.
Lastly, letter F, we have Liam from the Recreation Committee with a request of ARPA funds in the amount of $10,000.
And thanks, Liam, for all your work on this.
I know, it's
Yeah, so it took longer than I thought, but we have a new playground, we have a new swing set, they're both installed, wood chips are in. My son informed me tonight, we gotta move the swings up a bit, so we'll do that. I gotta figure out what the code is on it. But yeah, everything's done, everything's in, so I wanted to thank a couple people publicly. And I'm also here because we had some overages on the costs. Some of that was due to utilizing the labor from Pitnelli and Associates, which I think was a request from the select board. This goes back quite a ways, but the differential on that was about $3,000, looking back at quotes. And then we had the wood chips that went in for 2420. We did get a donation from Vermont Quarries. They were our sole donor at $2,500. So that pretty much helped to offset the wood chips. So we're basically just looking at the Pitnelli costs. We still owe them, don't quote me, but I think it's about $11,000. We paid them, I think, 90% of what we owed them. Must have been 80% of what we owed them. Back in, I don't know, I think it was last year. And so we still have a balance due to them. I talked with Bob Pitnelli earlier, well, last week when I was away, but, and we both agreed at the amount, and Jessie had the same amount on her books. So we need to cut them a check. She said that's, needs to be figured out where it comes from. The rest of the park is actually in great shape. So thank you to your team for the mowing and weed whacking this year. Like, it's never looked better. It's awesome. It looks awesome over there. Our sign is in a bit of disrepair. I think maybe it got struck by the plow. I don't know. It had a crack in it. Larry patched it back together, but the signpost itself has just kind of like, over time, that sign must weigh a ton, and so the sign's kind of bent over a bit. So it's okay for the time being, but it needs to be replaced. So we're asking for consideration of $10,000 in addition out of the ARPA funds that will cover the remaining balance on the playground and leave us with about $1,000 just over to replace the sign. And if there's any money left out of that, we would also consider putting up a bulletin board. We have one that's there, but it's not quite as nice or secure as the one that's here. So we would consider doing that as well. I think the sign certainly needs to be done. But I'd love to see if we could work with maybe the Mint or somebody to get a new sign created down there. Maybe at a fraction of the cost of what it would cost to do it, if we subbed it out. So, that would be my hope in it. I don't need an answer today by any means, but I will say Bob probably needs to get a check cut since he's done his part of the gig, so no matter where that money ends up coming from. And if we have overages in the sign, I don't know if it would cost more than $1,000. I kind of hope not, because it's a couple of 4x4s and a sign, but you never know these days. But if we have overages, we could certainly look to pull something out of the reserve fund for that, which has been well funded, and we have not had to tap into it in the last couple of years.
Good.
As I said, thank you to Chris, to you and your team for all the work that they did. Tyler Dalen from the Rutland Rec was just instrumental in helping me kind of navigate this process. I had reached out to Kim down there and she put me in touch, and Tyler came up multiple times throughout the process to like survey the site and get an idea of what we were doing and give some recommendations. Jim and Betsy Reddy for their help. They were out there with rakes, putting wood chips in. Scott and Marcy Matson, who don't live in Mendon but do have property here, loaned me their dump trailer so we could do the tree cleanup and move the wood chips. And Justin Laramie has some horrifically old tractor that works great. If anybody wants to buy it, it's for sale. And we used that to load all the wood chips, so that was huge as well. Vermont Quarries, as I said, for their donation, and then Larry Corsell. Larry spent a ton of time over there with me working on cutting down some trees, and then all the wood chips. He was there every time to help put wood chips in and clean up the property and that sort of thing. So super good to have the support.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we'll make sure we mention them in the time.
Val, if I could say something, the playground looks tremendous, and this is an added value to the town of Mendon that we haven't seen in a number of years. It's a project that we should be proud of, that we can send families down there to enjoy our recreation center. I do support putting up a different bulletin board at the rec center, not only for recreational purposes, but for town posting purposes. We're required to publicly post notices, and it's appropriate for us to post them on town-owned property. Some of those bulletin boards constructed out of durable materials cost upwards of $2,000. So I think we might need a request. We can get some quotes and come back to the select board, but I think we need probably a remaining balance of $3,000 in order to replace the sign and the bulletin board. But Liam, great job. Something to be proud of.
Thank you.
And Chris too, and the crew, it does look nice down there. You've kept it really nice. So best I've seen.
Yep.
So kudos to you. I think it seems to me, in my personal opinion, I don't know if putting a bulletin board there, do we need to have it like as durable material as we're talking, or might it be something we could kind of come up with? Do we have any bulletin board stuff laying around anywhere, or like old things, old signs even that you could mount on? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is $2,000. That's like, put some shirt back in the parking lot for that. You know? But just a thought, that's something to be talked about, I guess.
Yeah, why don't we get some quotes and see if there are any other avenues before we make the decision.
Sure, yeah.
My husband's about to be retired. He may be in the sign making business before I know it.
Right.
And I'm
We're
sure
signing him up for a lot of things, Megan.
Gotta keep him out of the house.
Yeah,
The one that sits by the road.
is there a good base for that, or?
So it's, I believe the 4x4 is sleeved into a piece of like a metal tube. So I feel like we probably have a good chance. It's just the 4x4 is just kind of bent over time. But the actual sign itself cracked like up and down this past year. So the sign needs to be replaced, the post needs to be replaced. I don't think we need to do, I hope we don't need to do anything with the base. I think there's a metal pipe coming up out of the ground, so we should be able to, I don't know, whittle down a 4x4 and put it back in the base.
Sure.
And it'll last, but we probably would be well served to create a lighter sign, and then it won't bend over time.
Yeah, right.
So we could do something that's like printed and put it in a metal frame and hang it. I mean, it looks nice, the one that we have now, but I don't know, I'm sure there's options.
Yeah.
And the playground has been utilized, I would say, we did miss like the big window, which was the baseball season, but I'm sure Rutland County Little League will be back again next year.
Absolutely.
And even while we were there, putting wood chips in the first night, we had two different families that showed up just looking to see if it was open yet. Like drove in with their kids to see.
That's nice.
And we offered them a shovel, but
When
I think they came back eventually.
there wasn't a shovel? Okay. So is this stuff, something that we talk about, get some bids or some numbers for signs first to find out how much, or do we?
Well, you still need the money to cover the Pittinelli cost.
Right.
I'm willing to approve the 10,000 use of ARPA funds.
I agree. If we're doing that right now, I agree too.
So is that a motion, Val?
Well, I was putting it on the table for discussion if anyone had any questions or.
I just want to clarify. So originally we had allocated $50,000 in ARPA funds, so this would be increasing those funds to $60,000. And that would allow for the payment remaining balance for the contractor.
Yes.
And probably enough to cover replacing the sign that's by the road, I would think.
In hopes of replacing the sign as well, Sarah, if you didn't hear that.
Okay, well, we can come back to the select board with quotes on those, but if you want to make a motion to increase the ARPA funds from 50 to 60, we'll get our obligations paid.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the use of $10,000 from ARPA funds to bring the total from $50,000 to $60,000 for the playground.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Same.
Thank you, Liam, for everything. Okay. I have nothing else under business. Can adjourn the meeting at 6:07.
Thank you, everybody.